何を持ったとおりだ。ゴーさん、ゴーさん。
旅に出るんです。
ゴーさん、どこ行くの？
ふるさとだ。
ふるさと？
How do I talk about Return of Ultraman? How do I review it? These are the questions that I've been having to ask myself for the past several months. It's been a little bit difficult. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, Return of Ultraman's a great series, but, and in fact, it's one of my top 10 favorite Ultraman series of all time. But what do I say about it? Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Ultra Reviews, where I take a look at all the Ultraman series, well, at least all the mainline series in chronological order. Before this review begins, I think an apology is in order. Due to circumstances in my life and just me wanting to pursue or focus more on pursuing my artistic career and focus on building up my portfolio and whatnot, I haven't been able to dedicate much time to this channel or to these reviews, and that's part of the reason why it's taken me so long to get this one out. Even though I finished rewatching Return of Ultraman months ago. There's just a lot of, again, like I said, a lot of life things happen that's made my attention shift away from this channel a bit, and making very low effort videos. And while this video will have a bit more effort than most, it won't match the same quality as the previous Ultra reviews or even my Rider reviews. And I'm not sure if I'm ever going to be getting to that level of quality or going to have that time to put as much effort into those reviews as I want. Because one part of me wants to get these series rolling again and get these reviews out, but because I feel obligated to finish what I started. But at the same time, just have the anxiety of trying to finish what I started, or just match the quality that I was able to put in last year with some of these videos, has just been a weight on me, and I need to lift that weight off somehow. So apologies that this video is not going to be up to the same quality as those previous videos. Hopefully when it comes to like very milestone series like say Ultraman Tiga, I will return to the more well-edited, well-scripted, and well-researched videos. But yeah, this is going to be the norm for a while until I get my feedback, once I start having things going, and maybe if I can get some help on this channel, who knows. But for now, as long as it's just a one-man wagon, this is what's going to be happening. Now, as you probably know, as you can probably guess, I am reviewing Return of Ultraman. Very well-beloved series. One that I highly admire, I love, and as you just heard, I think it's one of the greatest Ultraman series out there, and possibly an underrated one. But I have no idea how to talk about it. I don't know how to review it. That's what's been part of the reason I've been struggling to get this video out, because I just don't know which angle to take. So please humor me and watch and experience, or let me talk to you, or I don't know. Just please let me explain how I have to question myself. How do I review Return of Ultraman? And there may be spoilers ahead of time. But with that out of the way, let's henshin to the video. How do I review Return of Ultraman? I mean, I'm not an expert in Japanese. I mean, sure, I know some hiragana and katakana, and I know a couple of phrases, but I do not understand the language well enough to read or to even, understand what's being spoken to me in Japanese. So when it comes to finding information, I have to go on what's available for the US, which is primarily on the wiki. Sure, there are a couple of sources, like August Rigoni, his book, but that can be rare, and thankfully I have it, but it doesn't cover everything. August Rigoni's book on Eiji Tsuburaya only really covers Eiji Tsuburaya's life. It doesn't cover anything past Eiji Tsuburaya's life. So it gets difficult when we get to more of these series, less sources become available in an English language. And thankfully we do have Mo Creek's release that has more detail, that has a lot of details about the behind the scenes. But again, when we get to later series, I won't have as much info. But then, it's hard, I don't know what to say. I don't know if I really should just be regurgitating what everybody else has been saying, or just going off what the wiki says, especially now in an age where information is really scarce. Now, apologies on that last part. I meant to say, when information is scarce, I mean how the landscape of the internet is full of misinformation, and even the wikis that we rely on to give us honest resource, and just, we try to assume it's telling what the wiki tells us is fact, might not always be the case. There's a lot of misinformation that goes on in the sphere. And again, I feel like a lot of my struggles with some of the behind the scenes info, because if you've seen my previous reviews, I love to give some trivia, some knowledge about the behind the scenes. But when I'm dealing with a media and a language that I do not speak, I cannot read, it becomes tricky, and I don't really have any friends I'm comfortable asking, hey, can you translate this for me? I mean, sure, I have mutuals on Twitter or whatever, but again, it's just one of those, it's really hard to make sure I'm sourcing my information right. And yeah, just again, we've heard the stories of how Return of Ultraman's production started with Eiji Tsuburaya, initially starting it or jotting out the ideas, with Hayata passing the torch down. And I believe this is according to the Mill Creek booklet that's with the Blu-ray. But unfortunately, because of Eiji Tsuburaya's passing, he couldn't, complete it. So the team at Tsuburaya had to pick up where their founder, their leader, left off. So there's some facts that we know, but there's some facts that maybe, the Japan fan base is more, knowledgeable about, because again, that's from their home country, their own language. They know more about what's going on than we do here in the States, where Ultraman's, definitely growing in popularity, for sure, still niche in the wider pop culture web. I don't know what else to call it. But just think about how, and also the thing is, with other videos talking about, these series, sometimes they don't source their information properly, or at all. And I admit, I think in my last couple of reviews, I neglected to source my information, and I apologize for that. But what I admitted in that little segment is I do get a lot of my information from the wikis. With that said, going forward, I do want to source my information properly, or at least give it a nod. So yeah, it's just one of those difficulties, and I want to make sure I'm giving the right information and not just going based off the assumptions that's been made in the fan base. But who knows, you know? I really would like to know more about the struggles of getting Return of Ultraman out, but with my anxiety of getting the sources out or finding the behind the scenes information, you know, other than surface level stuff, like the series Return of Ultraman came out in 1971 and starred the late Jiro Dan as Hideki Go. Ishiro Honda directed several episodes, and so on, you know. I would like to know more information, but as a fan of the US, sometimes I have to just be okay with not knowing everything, not knowing how everything is made, even though I wish I could. And perhaps if I pick up Japanese again or try to learn Japanese again and try to really hunker down this time, who knows? Maybe things will be different as the series goes on, or the Ultra Reviews series goes on. But with that out of the way, that leads me to ask, how do I review Return of Ultraman when we have creators like Blue Nova and many others who have created their own reviews, their own, videos about the series, when I agree with pretty much with a lot of the general consensus? I feel like what I have to say has been said, and I can't do it in a way that they can. I will never probably reach the view numbers as Blue Nova's has. So what's the point? Why should I continue this series when I just don't have, when what I want to say has been said? And that's just the difficulties of doing reviews on the internet, or just doing commentary or whatever, is you run into the problem of letting, having other people review the same material as you do. And I try not to watch other people's reviews before I make mine, because I can be a very impressionable person and be like, yeah, I can let their opinions change mine a bit, or their insights influence my insights. So it becomes difficult where it's like, what am I providing new? What's the point if I can't provide something new? That's the struggle I think a lot of creators on, the space, not just the Toku fandom, but in the grander, internet, right? Or just reviewers and critics in general, we just like, what's the point of my voice if my voice is not providing anything new? Sure, I could provide, some experience, some personal experience, like how I got introduced to Return of Ultraman was through a giveaway. It was through a giveaway at G-Fest. It was at Ben Faria's panel. The panel host was doing a giveaway, and I won a copy of Return of Ultraman Volume 9 on DVD, which I have shared in the past in the how I got into Ultraman. And that was my first exposure to Return of Ultraman before finally getting to watch the series subbed with the Mill Creek release. But, again, I'm not sure what insights I have that will be beneficial, or that's just difficulty. It's like, I shouldn't be thinking about views, obviously, or what other people have to think. But again, it's just when trying to review a series that's been reviewed by many others before, it's hard to be like, sometimes it's hard to be like, okay, what do I have to say about it when it's been like, oh, yeah, I think what I have to say has been said? Do I talk about episodes that aren't really discussed? But maybe they aren't the episodes that I'm particularly, fond of. But this question that I have also leads me to the question of, did the team at Tsuburaya struggle with a similar issue? Because they had to, compete with other tokusatsu series then. Not just, the Godzilla movies that were still going on, but Kamen Rider was going to be coming on air. There was other tokusatsu productions that were going to be happening in the 70s with the Henshin boom. So I feel perhaps the team at Tsuburaya was feeling that struggle, that heat of, what can we do to differentiate ourselves with the competition, with everybody else that's doing these kaiju media or tokusatsu productions? And I think the way they did it was to stay true to themselves, to stay true to the heart of Ultraman. And maybe that's something I really need to do and figure out for what's true to me and pursue there. And that's how I do my reviews. Just stay true to myself and not worry about what the competition is doing per se. But then again, that leads me to ask, how do I review Return of Ultraman? Do I try to come up with a consistent theme for the show? Say the theme of the show is about growth? Because a lot of characters do grow throughout the series, but then again, is that just natural character development? Is that really a theme? I mean, this is a very episodic series, so genuinely, is that very consistent? Or, like a consistent theme that I can really latch onto? Or is that just too weak of a hypothesis to drop? Or do I just go on and talk about my favorite episodes, my favorite memories of the show? But then again, that feels like it's not going to be part of the Ultra series or the Ultra reviews that I've built up, where I do talk about more in depth about these shows more than just the surface level. How can I review Return of Ultraman without knowing what to talk about? Here's the thing, I've recorded multiple attempts of what to do for this review, but none of it felt right. None of it felt genuine. None of it felt like it was a strong enough video for me to be like, yeah, this is a great review. No. Because maybe it's my lack of media literacy. Maybe I'm not as literate with media as I want to be. Maybe I couldn't see the heart of Return of Ultraman, which, by the way, has a lot of heart, a lot of fantastic stories, and like I mentioned, is a very episodic series with many, many great tales. Like, for example, the famous episode of The Monster User and the Boy, directed by Shohei Tojo. I mean, that's a fantastic episode, and one that's been talked about to death. And I could go on about that episode particularly, but again, we go back to the earlier issue of that what's been said has already been said. What am I providing new? And again, I'm having difficulties getting into the heart of Return of Ultraman. The show has a lot of heart. It has such great heart. So much effort has been put into the care, into the care of the kaiju, the characters, the stories that are being told. Yet, I can't find the overall heart of the series. What is it? Or maybe is just that the series is about heart, about love. I don't know. I'm struggling so much with the theme of the show, and I'm sure there's a theme, and like I mentioned, I thought the theme was about growth, but then I second guessed myself, because that's like, when I started to look at some of the examples, I'm like, well, maybe that's just character development. All stories have or should I say most stories have some sort of character development. That's just natural to a lot of these stories. So is growth actually a theme? And again, I want to do this show justice. It's a great show. I wish I knew what the heart of the show was. So that leads me to ask, how do I review Return of Ultraman when I know I can't provide the same level of quality as I did with my previous Ultra reviews, or even with some of my Kamen Rider reviews? How do I do that? How do I, in good conscience, try to put out a video that I know will not be up to the same quality as those previous reviews? There's just a lot of pressure on me to try to match my own quality that I can't provide anymore, because I have a lot of things happen in my life and I need to make priorities. But I still feel I'm obligated to continue these reviews that I started. I don't want to just give up on these reviews. So how do I do that? How do I continue this series when I know I can't match the same level of output as I did those previous entries? Now, this is just speculation, but I feel this is something Tsuburaya Productions at the time had to face, with their founder Eiji Tsuburaya passing in 1970. They wanted to continue the Ultra series. They probably felt obligated to continue the Ultra series. But with how the economy was in the 1970s, how a lot of we were beginning to see the fall of the theatrical tokusatsu movies, or the kaiju movies, particularly with, the Gamera series was definitely on a downward trend, and the Godzilla series would follow suit shortly. And plus, Tsuburaya was making other shows. They were going to make Mirror Man, and they had other ventures that they wanted to pursue, but they felt obligated to. I'm pretty sure, at least, they felt obligated to continue what Eiji Tsuburaya started, to fulfill that wish of continuing the Ultra series. But there was probably the pressure of, can they do it with the same level of quality that the 1960s run of the Ultra series did? Can they match that same output of creativity without Eiji Tsuburaya being there? And of course, Ultraman is not just Eiji Tsuburaya's, creation. It was the creation of many, many talented individuals. But I do think there was still that, the master of monsters, Eiji Tsuburaya, is no longer with us. Can we continue without his guidance, without his passion being actively present? But I will give Return of Ultraman credit to this, to them. I think they were able to, despite a lot of these factors influencing the series, I think they pulled it off. They pulled off a really spectacular series, and with some really impressive special effects at the time. Still to this day, and I still find them very enjoyable. I think they were able to match that creativity that the 1960s did, but while still bringing their own flavor, their own ingredients into the mix, making it feel just different enough to be its own thing, to not just be in the shadow of 1966 Ultraman or 1967's Ultra 7. There was a lot of effort, a lot of creativity, and some moments of visual fidelity that were just awe-inspiring. There's elements of the show that can still continue to influence other creators. Like Hideaki Anno was heavily inspired by Return of Ultraman, and many of his projects, including Neon Genesis Evangelion or the recent Shin Ultraman, was influenced by Return of Ultraman in many aspects. But I wonder what my impact is with the Ultra series. Will I be able to do that? Or the Ultra Review series? That's what I meant. Will will I be able to match my early reviews in a different way while I have to deal with my own outside factors? Which again leads me to ask, how do I review Return of Ultraman while doing the show justice? That's because like I said, this is one of my favorite Ultra series. It's a top-notch show. It is one of the most influential Ultra series out there, and up there in the likes of Ultraman, Ultra 7, in terms of just how influential it is to not just to the Ultra series, but to outside of the Ultra series. I mean, you see like Hideaki Anno's works taking influence from this specific series. How can I do a review that can really justify that legacy this series leaves on? How? Before Ultraman Arc premiered, or the trailer premiered, I was feeling that Return of Ultraman and Ultraman Jack weren't getting the proper respect that they deserve. Because again, like I mentioned, the legacy of Return of Ultraman has been very present throughout, but when we were getting to the 50th anniversary, the only thing that series got was a McDonald's tie-in. Which, granted, I'm sure the pandemic played suit, to a lot of the problems of having that be reality and just impact. Maybe there were plans to do a celebration of Return of Ultraman, but the COVID pandemic hindered that. But even outside of that, we got the Marvel Comics Ultraman series, which I personally disagree with the direction they went with Ultraman Jack. I feel how they brought that character in did not do justice to the character that we've grown up with, that we've experienced with in the proper series. And that's the thing with this review, is I want to do this series justice. And I want to be able to share my love for this series. I want to share to all of you just how fantastic the series is, how fantastic Jiro Dan's performance as Hideki Go is, to share how much the kaiju battles are exciting, to share just how much care and love was put into the series. I want to share this with all of you, that this is an amazing, fantastic series. Something that I could only dream of matching a part of that quality in my own artistic works. It's something that I strive to achieve, to really match that creativity that the Ultra series has, and especially Return of Ultraman. It's a series that is so well deserved of every praise that's given to it. It's not a flawless series, mind you, but I don't want to do a review that will do this series injustice. And that's why I put out this video, because I don't know how to do that. So, finally I have to ask, how do I review Return of Ultraman? I don't know. But this is the video I made for that series. A series that has influenced me as a person and as an artist. A series that has been a part of me for at least over 10 years, and been a part of the Ultraman series for over 50. A series that I think deserves a lot more credit than it sometimes does. I don't know if this video that I made will be up to the standards of either that show or to my own audience. But like I said, this is the video that I'm making for this absolutely wonderful series. Hopefully, when I do Ultraman Ace, this won't be the same situation. In fact, I already have a lot of opinions of Ace beforehand, and I've been rewatching the series already, so we'll see how that goes. But as for now, let me know what you think of Return of Ultraman. What is your memories of Return of Ultraman? Let me know in the comments down below. But anyway, one last thing before I leave is I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. Take care and shoo-watch!